What if I told you there's a secret about Mary Magdalene that could completely change how you see one of the most talked about figures in biblical history? A fact so obscure that even dedicated Bible scholars have long debated it, yet most people have never heard of it. No recycled romance theories or conspiracies here. What I'm about to reveal is rooted in scripture and backed by historical records. In this video, we're going to strip away centuries of myths surrounding Mary Magdalene. You'll see why she was crucial not only to Jesus himself, but also to the rise of early Christianity. By the end, I'll unveil a startling truth that might forever change your understanding of her. But first, here's a question. Was Mary Magdalene really the notorious sinner so often portrayed, or have we misunderstood her all along? Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you love captivating Bible stories. Now let's begin. For centuries, Mary Magdalene has been labeled as a prostitute, a fallen woman redeemed by Jesus. Yet the New Testament never once calls her that. This misconception took root in 591 AD when Pope Gregory the Great gave a sermon conflating three different figures: Mary Magdalene, Mary of Bethany, Martha's sister, and an unnamed sinful woman who anoints Jesus in Luke's Gospel. That single mistake shaped popular imagination for nearly 1,400 years. Why did this inaccurate image persist? Some say it was a simple yet powerful misreading that stuck. Others suspect it served to diminish her influence. Depicting her as a redeemed sinner sidelined her from being viewed as a key apostolic figure. Either way, her true identity was overshadowed, and this label has been enshrined in art, drama, and even modern media for generations. Open the four Gospels, and you'll find a very different Mary Magdalene. She's mentioned by name more times than most of the 12 apostles, highlighting how important she was in Jesus' circle. Her name, Magdalene, likely indicates she was from Magdala, a fishing town near the Sea of Galilee. One critical verse, Luke 8:2, tells us that Jesus cast 7 demons out of her. 7 often symbolizes totality, implying a severe and complete oppression. Once healed, she joined other women who traveled with Jesus, possibly providing financial or logistical support. This was remarkable in a society that often relegated women to the margins. Yet Mary Magdalene stands out time and again, suggesting Jesus recognized her steadfast commitment and profound gratitude for the healing she'd received. How many people would risk their safety to remain with someone condemned to die? While most male disciples fled, Mary Magdalene did not abandon Jesus during his crucifixion. She witnessed the horror at Golgotha, Roman soldiers, jeering crowds, the sky darkening. Despite the fear of guilt by association, she stayed at the foot of the cross. This brave act speaks volumes about her character. In a world where betrayal was everywhere, loyalty came at a steep cost. Yet Mary Magdalene's devotion overshadowed her fear. Her presence at the crucifixion underlines her emotional and spiritual bond with Jesus, marking her as one of his closest and most faithful followers when it mattered most. Perhaps Mary Magdalene's greatest claim to fame is that she was the first person to see the risen Christ. According to John 20:1-18, she arrived at the tomb early on the first day of the week, only to find the stone rolled away. Distraught by the possibility of grave robbers, she wept until Jesus himself appeared. Initially mistaking him for the gardener, she recognized him the moment he spoke her name. By commissioning her to deliver the news of the resurrection, Jesus shattered social norms that dismissed women's testimony. Early Christian writers later called her the Apostle to the Apostles because she effectively proclaimed the cornerstone message of the faith: He is risen. That alone should secure her place as one of the most influential figures in Christian history. If Mary Magdalene was so central, Why has her significance been blurred by dubious legends? Many scholars believe that as the early church formalized into a structured hierarchy, it sidelined women's roles. Portraying Mary Magdalene chiefly as a repentant sinner allowed church leaders to overlook her potential influence as a teacher or leader. This calls to mind a broader issue of how women appear, or disappear, in historical narratives. Early Christian communities featured women like Joanna and Susanna, who also supported Jesus' ministry. Yet Mary Magdalene's extraordinary experiences stood out the most, which could have threatened patriarchal assumptions. Reducing her to a mere cautionary tale may have been easier than explaining why Jesus chose a woman to witness and announce the resurrection first. An apocryphal text known as the Gospel of Mary, discovered in fragmentary form in the late 19th century, adds another layer to our understanding of Mary Magdalene. In this text, she shares visions imparted by the risen Christ. When she recounts these revelations, some of the male disciples, especially Peter, question her authority, asking why Jesus would disclose such deep truths to her rather than to them. Mary holds her ground, standing firm in what she experienced. While we can't be certain the historical Mary Magdalene wrote it, the text presents her as a crucial figure with unique insights into Jesus' teachings. This resonates with the canonical Gospels that depict her at major turning points, from the crucifixion to the resurrection. Even if the Gospel of Mary wasn't accepted into the biblical canon, it underscores the possibility that Mary Magdalene enjoyed a far deeper theological role than standard tradition allows. So why didn't the Gospel of Mary and similar texts become part of the New Testament? The process of canon formation was complicated, involving councils like Nicaea in 325 AD and others that helped define orthodoxy. Documents diverging too much from established beliefs or emphasizing women's authority tended to be branded heretical or unorthodox. In a context leaning toward hierarchical leadership, admitting texts portraying Mary as a spiritual teacher might have felt destabilizing. Whether you see these omissions as protective of doctrinal unity or suppressive of alternative views, they illustrate the diversity of early Christian thought. The rejection of certain texts wasn't always about truth or falsehood. It sometimes reflected power dynamics. The story of Mary Magdalene thus opens a window onto the complexities of how Scripture was selected and how that shaped the roles attributed to women. Beyond biblical accounts, legends suggest Mary Magdalene traveled as far as southern France to spread the gospel. Some stories claim she lived out her last years in a cave near Saint-Maximin-la-Sainte-Baume, dedicating her life to prayer and penance. The local basilica even claims to house her skull. Whether you take these tales literally or not, they highlight her far-reaching impact on Christian imagination. Pilgrims still visit these sites, drawn by the powerful image of a woman who, after witnessing the resurrection, supposedly crossed the Mediterranean to share the good news. Though documentation is scarce, such enduring stories reflect how profoundly Mary Magdalene's legacy resonates, depicting her as a devoted disciple, ready to venture far beyond the Holy Land. It's not just her geographical travels that captivate us. Mary Magdalene's journey from a woman tormented by 7 demons to one who boldly proclaimed Christ's victory over death resonates on a spiritual level. She personifies hope. No life is beyond the reach of grace. That complete renewal, physical, emotional, and spiritual, is a testament to the power of faith. She also symbolizes unwavering loyalty. At the crucifixion, and then at the tomb, her presence speaks of faithfulness when all appears lost. She challenges us to stand firm in our convictions, even if circumstances seem bleak. Her transformation isn't merely a historical curiosity. It's a living reminder that change is possible for anyone. Mary Magdalene's true story also forces us to re-examine how we view women's contributions in the church. Scripture mentions multiple women who financed and facilitated Jesus' ministry, and the fact that Jesus first appeared to Mary Magdalene after his resurrection underscores that he valued women's testimony. This undercuts claims that women should always be secondary in religious life. Still, as Christianity spread through patriarchal cultures, the role of women in leadership was often suppressed. By highlighting Mary Magdalene's prominence, her apostolic commission to share news of the resurrection, we reclaim a more balanced historical narrative. If she held such esteem in the earliest days, perhaps many other women did too, their stories fading from official records as centuries rolled on. Modern fiction has conjured another misconception, a romantic or marital relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Popular novels and films have peddled tales of secret bloodlines and clandestine unions. While these can make for entertaining plots, no credible biblical or early Christian writings support such ideas. Even apocryphal texts emphasizing her closeness to Jesus describe a spiritual bond, not a hidden marriage. In ancient Jewish and Greco-Roman writings, intimate language can often represent theological insight rather than romantic attachment. By viewing Mary Magdalene strictly through a modern lens, where closeness implies romance, we can miss the profound spiritual connection she shared with Jesus. The real story, as conveyed in the canonical Gospels, focuses on her discipleship, her transformation, and her unique role in Christian history. What does Mary Magdalene's story offer us now? First, she embodies transformative faith. Delivered from oppression, she responded with unshakable devotion. Second, she exemplifies courage, staying present at the crucifixion and discovering the empty tomb before any other disciple. Third, her story invites us to question harmful traditions. If one sermon could distort her identity for centuries, what else might we need to revisit? Furthermore, Mary Magdalene's leadership challenges modern faith communities to integrate women fully into ministry and theological discourse. Her example stands as a rebuttal to the notion that gender should limit one's calling. Finally, her unwavering loyalty reminds us that discipleship is about more than belief. It demands heartfelt commitment, even if the path ahead is fraught with risk or misunderstanding. After 2 millennia, Mary Magdalene remains a figure of fascination and devotion. Churches worldwide bear her name, and her feast day, July 22nd, is recognized by multiple Christian traditions. Artists throughout history have painted her as both penitent sinner and exalted apostle, revealing her dual legacy in the Christian imagination. While we don't have exhaustive biographical details, her family origins, her age, the exact time and place of her death, the evidence we do have is enough to showcase her towering importance. She witnessed the moment that defines Christian faith, the resurrection. She proclaimed the news that would reshape history. She stood with Jesus when others fled. These monumental events tell us more about her true character than any rumor or myth could. In rediscovering Mary Magdalene, we uncover a powerful story of hope and courage that can still inspire believers today. Mary Magdalene stands as a testament to how faith can utterly transform a life. No longer overshadowed by false labels or sensationalized romances, she emerges in Scripture as a brave disciple, a loyal companion in suffering, and the first to announce the miracle of Easter morning. If we embrace this authentic portrait, we open ourselves to lessons about restoration, bravery, and the critical roles women have played from the Church's earliest moments. So the next time you hear someone referring to Mary Magdalene as just a fallen woman, remember the biblical record. She was first at the tomb, first to see the risen Lord, and first to share the gospel's pivotal truth. Her story invites us all to recognize the power of grace and the incredible contributions of women in shaping spiritual history. If this deeper look at Mary Magdalene changed your perspective, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who needs to hear her story. Together, let's celebrate this remarkable woman of faith and illuminate more hidden corners of the Bible that challenge and uplift us. Thank you for watching, and keep seeking the deeper truths that history has yet to fully reveal.